Hey, Derek with No Dog Left Behind here in Moose Jaw. It's Sunday, November 27th morning, and today's message is one of disappointment, disgust, sadness, and frustration. Okay, so the fundamental idea behind this podcast, I want you guys to think about whether it affects you or someone you know or whatever, is that you cannot create confidence in a dog who's scared with physical pain. I don't care what anybody tells you, what your trainer told you, or your friend, or your relative, or your breeder, or whoever. If your dog is fundamentally operating from a place of fear, you cannot beat them to have confidence. That's it. The end. I was at a session yesterday. 9-month-old dog, large breed, under socialized. Okay? So it's threatening towards people and dogs. Fortunately, the lady had come across me on the internet, and she told me some disturbing information of how someone who was a trainer or whatever tried to work with her dog prior to her meeting me. So this dog, I can tell from the second I meet it, like it's intense. It is. I'm not taking that away. It's barking, it's lunging, it's growling, it's spitting, like it's a lot of dog, and it's a larger dog too, and it's muzzled. Okay. In any event, it's holding its position basically. Okay, but it's doing all these behaviors. So underlying fundamental, unlike this operating from a place of fear, like it's basically like get the fuck away from me. Okay, and I'm like, okay, got it. I understand. I'm not gonna leave, but I'm also not going to start a physical fight with you either. So what had happened was this other individual, whatever the hell they were, when they were training and trying to teach my now client how to address the dog, basically it was the faulty premise that you have to tell the dog, no, they can't get away with this. Okay? So what they did was, the dog was muzzled too for that interaction. They grabbed the dog very roughly, took them away from the handler, threw it to the ground, jammed their knee into its chest, and forced their hands on its neck, and who knows whatever else. But I can just imagine, and from the description that my client gave me, it was incredibly unpleasant, and the dog shit itself. It was so stressed, which happens at times. But I've never done that. I mean, a dog, it's happened around me where I had to corner a dog because I had no other option. I just had to corner it, but I didn't touch it. And it was so stressed that it pooped itself. But I've never made a dog pee or poop itself from being physically abrasive to it out of like sheer physical pain and fear. Okay. So I'm like half like traumatized and pissed off and visualizing what's happening to this dog, because by the end of the session that we had, I ended up taking the muzzle off, physically touching the dog, and the dog was okay with it. Like it actually squirted its bum up to me. And I'm the first person in 9 months, other than the entire family, that has ever physically come in contact with this dog in not a negative manner. So this is a big deal for this dog, but it's a bigger deal because what the faulty premise of what other people can be thinking what's right and teaching. Okay, so this person had a totally skewed understanding of dog behavior that was fundamentally wrong. If you peel back the layers, and yes, the dog's acting threatening, it does not mean you have to address it with direct conflict too. Like, I mean, if your kid starts to be violent with you because it's having a tantrum or something, does it seem reasonable that you're going to punch your kid out? Is that reasonable? No, it's not. Because you wouldn't, and you would go to jail. But somehow with their dogs, this stuff is all fucking different. Okay, people can still get away with being very physically rough with their dogs under the premise of learning and training, and you got to show the dog who's boss, which is all bullshit. You don't have to physically be incredibly rough or hit or pin your dog or force your knee into their throat or their chest to teach them something. Now, this is especially fundamentally disturbing for me because the dog is operating from a place of fear. Okay, it's bad enough if your dog is just annoying and a brat, let's say, or an adolescent dog that literally needs an attitude adjustment. I'm not saying you would need to physically do that, but I'm saying it's one thing if you combat that. Okay, that is bad enough in and of itself, and I would not encourage that, and I don't do it anyways with an adolescent dog. But it's exponentially worse when you address a dog that is fundamentally scared of people with physical abuse. You're reinforcing that they have something to be scared about. You're not teaching it that you can't get away with that. Do you know how it ended? Oh yeah, sorry, this dog is a lot. If that muzzle was off, it would have bit me and attacked me, and there's nothing I can do for you. Well, that's fucking great. Yeah, well, I knew that when she told me. And even though things are really rough, I honestly didn't feel like as long as I pushed in the right ways and at the right times, not physically pushed, but mentally pushed, that I was not going to get bit. And that's why I took the muzzle off. And I did not get bit. And I was able to actually physically handle the dog. And it'd be okay with me. Because I was developing something called trust. It's not what this other person was doing. They were working on the fear aspect of things. You're not going to have any success fearing a fearful dog more. Let's sprinkle some more fear and insecurity on a dog that's already fearful, anxious, even phobic in some capacities. Yeah, that's going to work real well. So today I'm just frustrated. I'm happy that this dog didn't die and wasn't euthanized because she couldn't find any help. And there's still a long road ahead for us. But sometimes I feel helpless. And I'm wondering how much of this shit is going on that I don't hear about, right? And it makes me sad. Because that's the reason why I'm in this business. And it was from day one. It's not to make money. I mean, yeah, it pays my bills now after I put in 8 years. But I've always, the fundamental premise of me being in this business was to educate people how to more gently and humanely teach, train, educate, and act around their dogs. That's it. That's it. That's my driving force, is to create more understanding, aware, intelligent, analytical handlers and happier dogs. So that's the message for today, okay? If your dog is fundamentally scared of something, you're not going to teach anything with physical pain. Nothing good, anyways. The best you'll do is suppress the behavior, which probably it will just actually intensify the behavior, what you do. But like in this circumstance, what it did was intensify the dog's negative reaction. But some people will have success, which is wrong because it's actually just suppressing like a growl or a barking, but the internal hurricane is still going in the dog's head, and then all of a sudden they unprovoked bite someone. And you're like, where did that come from? I thought we were doing better. No, you weren't. You had a false sense of security and a false lift that you were, but all you did was destroy the warning mechanisms. Period. Be more mindful of what you do, and if you don't know what you're doing, find some help, but do some real research on someone who knows what the hell they're doing.